Let's dive right into the depths of this mystery, shall we? The year is 1998. We're in Ohio, and a family has just moved into this, well, think of a really creepy old house. You know the type. Dark corners everywhere, floorboards that groan with every single step, and a basement that feels like it literally belongs in another century. Now, put yourself in the shoes of a 12-year-old boy named Ethan. He's exploring his new house, wanders down into that damp, dimly lit basement, and suddenly, he spots something that absolutely should not be there. We're not talking about a rusty water heater or a box of old junk. It's a small, incredibly heavy metal door built directly into the solid concrete wall. And if that wasn't weird enough, this door is secured from the outside with 3 massive padlocks. Just like that, a totally normal moving day turns into the opening scene of a literal thriller. What on earth could be hiding behind a vault-like door in a random Ohio basement? Ethan, burning with that classic 12-year-old curiosity, goes straight to the one person who might actually know the answer, his dad. But when Ethan asks his dad about this bizarre heavy metal door in their basement, he doesn't get a casual brush off. There's no, "Oh, it's just an old storage room," or "Hey, don't play down there." Instead, his dad looks him dead in the eye, completely serious, and delivers a chillingly stark warning. Never open it. That's it. No context, no explanation whatsoever. Just a harsh, unbreakable rule. And that one sentence instantly transforms this door from a weird architectural quirk into something incredibly forbidden. It planted this deep, creeping seed of dread right in Ethan's mind. It's the kind of warning that tells you whatever is behind that metal door isn't just a secret, it's dangerous. Which brings us to part 1, the 3:17 a.m. knocking. Fast forward a few years, the family settles into their routine, and that creepy metal door in the basement kind of fades into the background of their normal lives. Ethan grows up a bit, and the quiet safety of the house feels, well, permanent. But then, everything shatters. That innocent curiosity Ethan once had, it morphs into sheer, palpable terror. The quiet of the house breaks, and the real nightmare begins. In the pitch-black dead of night, Ethan wakes up to a sound. It's muffled, echoing up through the floorboards and all those heavy locks, but it is unmistakable. It's coming from the basement. And to be incredibly specific, it's coming from directly behind that forbidden metal door. Knock, knock, knock. Imagine laying in your bed in the pitch dark, hearing someone knocking from inside a room that has been completely sealed shut from the outside for years. And this wasn't just a one-off event. The sound echoed through the quiet house every single night. But the detail that completely paralyzed Ethan with fear was the timing. It happened at exactly 3:17 a.m. every single night. Ethan was utterly alone in his terror, trapped between the dread of this unseen knocker and that chilling, unexplained warning his dad gave him all those years ago.
Okay, so Ethan literally can't take the psychological torture anymore. He needs answers. First, he frantically tears through the house and miraculously finds an old, rusted key hidden inside a dusty wooden box up in the attic. The very next night, as the clock ticks closer to 3:17 a.m., the terrifying ritual begins. He creeps down the basement stairs, his hands shaking violently. Every single step feels like a ton of bricks. He reaches the metal door. The knocking is happening right now, from the inside. With completely trembling hands, he forces that old key into the 3 heavy locks one by one. The loud, metallic clanking echoes in the dark. And finally, the door slowly creaks open with this horrific groan. Ethan holds his breath, fully bracing himself to face a monster, a ghost, or whatever unimaginable horror had been calling out to him every night.
That leads us right into part 2, Grandfather's Hidden Truth. As the door swings wide, the story takes a turn literally no one saw coming. Ethan steps inside, and that suffocating, supernatural dread suddenly drops into this eerie, dead silence. There's no monster jumping out of the shadows, there's no ghost. It's just a tiny, unbelievably stuffy little room, and there are exactly 2 things inside: an old wooden chair, and resting right in the middle of that chair, a dusty tape recorder. Ethan, still trembling, slowly reaches out and presses the play button on that dust-covered machine. The speaker crackles to life, and a voice echoes through that tiny, sealed room. "If you're hearing this, I'm your grandfather." Talk about a bombshell. In a split second, this terrifying, unknown threat lurking behind the door is suddenly tied directly to Ethan's own bloodline. The sheer terror shifted into deep, deep confusion. Why would his grandfather seal a room from the outside? What was he hiding from, or maybe, what was he hiding for them? That voice on the tape unloaded a massive truth that completely changed the meaning of everything in that room. It wasn't just a tape recorder. His grandfather explained that decades ago, he had gathered a massive stockpile of evidence against a highly corrupt, incredibly powerful local businessman, hard proof that this guy had ruined countless innocent lives. Sensing he was in extreme danger, his grandfather locked all the original documents inside this very room and sealed it from the outside to ensure the evidence and his family remained safe. The documents uncovered by Ethan's terrifying journey ended up changing their town forever. Handed over to the authorities, this evidence finally brought the ugly truth to light and completely dismantled that corrupt businessman's empire. This heavy legacy his grandfather left behind? It wasn't a curse at all. It was an incredible delayed triumph of justice.
But wait, there's more. Let's look at part 3, the unsolved questions.
So the crime is solved, right? The corrupt businessman gets caught, justice is served. You'd really think the story neatly wraps up right there. But while the legal mystery was closed, the actual terrifying truth hadn't even started to make sense. Just look at this timeline for a second. That tape, the one explaining all the evidence, was recorded by his grandfather in 1968. Ethan's family moved into the house 30 years later, in 1998, and it was years after that when the knocking actually started. Here is the spine-tingling fact that will absolutely give you chills. When Ethan found that 1968 tape recorder, he popped open the battery compartment on the back. The batteries inside were brand new, completely, fully charged, sitting there for decades, defying literally every law of time and science, just waiting for Ethan to press play. I mean, how is that physically possible?
Which brings us to the most terrifying, completely unresolved question of this entire explainer. Look, the room was tiny. It was totally empty except for the chair, the documents, and the recorder. And remember, it was sealed from the outside with 3 massive padlocks. So if his grandfather had been gone for decades, who exactly was knocking from the inside of that room every night at 3:17 a.m.? Who or what was physically pounding on that heavy metal door to lure Ethan down into the basement so the truth could finally be exposed? Nobody in the family, the town, or the police department ever had an answer for that. The justice they got was real, but the messenger that delivered it, yeah, that messenger was definitely not of this world.
So as we wrap up this chilling dive into the source material, I want to turn it over to you. Think about Ethan's terrifying journey, his father's deadpan warning, the midnight knocking, and that ultimate revelation of justice. If you were standing in front of a locked door, harboring a dark, heavy secret, what would your move be? Would your burning curiosity push you to ignore the danger and just rip the door open immediately? Would you play it safe, call the police, and let the authorities handle the unknown? Or would you actually heed the warning, prioritizing your own safety and peace of mind, and swear to never, ever touch it?
It's a wildly intense choice, right? On one hand, you have a hidden truth that could literally change the world, and on the other, an unknown, terrifying presence knocking in the dead of night. Knowing everything you know now about the grandfather's secret, those impossibly brand new batteries in a 30-year-old tape recorder, and that chilling 3:17 a.m. knock, seriously, what would you have done?